What is good, internet? It is Spirit of Paradox here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be starting issue 34 of Ultimate Spider-Man, or part 2 of the Ultimate Venom Saga. But you already know the deal. If you guys are fans of the Ultimate Universe, this is the channel you want to be on. I'm going to be uploading content surrounding the Ultimate Universe on the channel, and as a lead up to the upcoming event of Ultimate Invasion that starts this month of June 21st. And I'm damn well going to be breaking down that comic when it releases too. But anyway, let's start the video. We begin with the last video left off with Peter and Eddie Brock looking at the vial of the symbiote. And Peter says, "I don't understand, Eddie. What is this? This is what our fathers were working on when they died. This is their life's work. Or would have been if they had the chance or been given the chance to see it all the way through." Peter asks, "What is it?" Right now, it's a big pile of photoplasmic goo. What is it supposed to be? The cure for cancer. And Peter looks shocked as Eddie Brock reveals the information about it. Eddie reveals even more and says, "And they were close. According to my dad's notes, either they were really close or my dad was just way too excited." It's kind of hard to decipher a lot of their notes so far. Either they're hugely disorganized or parts are missing. Maybe your dad had some. And Peter says, maybe. Plus, I mean, who knows what they had on them when the plane went down, right? Without the help of my professor, I don't think I would have been able to make these heads or tails of... Professor? Doc Connors. He's amazing. Super great guy. Eddie Brock shows him some details on some paper, and he says they were calling it the suit. Some kind of photoplasmic medical dip that would be able to be tailored to the patient's specific DNA code. You get me? A genetic, bodysuit that would, in theory, temporarily take hold of the patient's biology. Find out what the body needs, and then find a natural solution. Like if a cancer had spread, a tumor, the suit would search the body for the right natural toxins, find solutions in the patient's body chemistry, and then put them to work. Basically, this is what would find cancer, diagnose it, and kill it. As far as we can tell, they got somewhere in phase 2. In this phase, the suit would enhance the physical strengths and natural abilities of the patient. Somehow that's where the notes got bonky. But clearly, that's where they ran out of money. I actually remember this from when I was a kid. At the dinner table. I remember them having some serious talks on the porch. Do you remember any of... Oh no, you were way too young. The suit. Both of our dads ended up taking a staff position at this company. Trask Industries. Peter says, Trask? Yeah, I actually remember that name. But this I didn't know. Our dads were just work for hire employees of the company. Do you know what that means? It means everything they were creating was technically owned by the company. And when the big bosses found out that their cure for cancer might be like some kind of one-person war machine thing, they took it away from them. And Peter says, what? Which is something neither of them wanted anything to do with. Here, read this. Eddie hands Peter a letter, and it says, "Our fear realized. We were locked out of our own laboratories and our project taken away from us. I know Richards blames me for all of this, and I can't say he is wrong. I am the one who pushed him into the deal with Trask. I am the one who was wanted out of the day-to-day grind of fundraising in the private sector. And now everything he warned me that might happen, happened. Now our days are going to be filled with lawyers and weasels. when all we really want to do is finish the project we both dedicated our lives and the lives of our families to. Peter, frustrated by the revelation, Eddie tells him that's the last entry, 2 days after he wrote that, and Peter gets really upset and says no. And Eddie tells him, on the way back from the meeting with the big-time lawyer in Washington, getting ready to sue the shit out of these fucks, and boom. And the angry Peter says, oh my god, so these people just took this invention away from them. These Trask people stole it. Where are they now? What are they doing? I don't know. I don't know if they're even in business anymore, Eddie says. If they took everything away, where did you get this? Well, this? They talk about it in the journal. This is something our dads were making on their own, behind the computer's back. As far as I can tell, they were going to prove their ownership by making the suit of their own. They didn't get far, but they started. My grandpa kept it all these years. Kept it in the same freezer my dad put it in. Gramps doesn't even know what it is. He just couldn't get rid of anything that was his son's. I found it in the notes a couple of months ago, and just had it moved here to university a couple of weeks ago. Doc Connors thinks it's totally useless. I mean, it's 10 years old. Who knows what they did to it in the experimentation? And on top of that, who knows, right? But the thing is, Doc Connors thinks they really are working on the right track. Their logic is good, and the math is right. It could be they just didn't have the technology to support the theories back then. They might have been like 7 years ahead of their time. Doc Connors thinks that even if the suit doesn't work, or work the way that our dads thought, that it will create something new. Interesting question to answer. And that ain't a bad way to spend your day. Peter asks, whose DNA did they use? You said it was DNA specific. Whose DNA did they use? And Eddie reveals to Peter, it was your dad's. And this is where Peter gets the idea in his head like, yo, I wonder, what would I do? Or what would it do if it was to come into contact with me? In the next page we go to Peter, waiting outside of his school, and Gwen Stacy walks by. She says, so, Henrik Isbin can kiss my butt. He's dead, Gwen. Well, his ghost can kiss my butt. Are you walking home or are you going to the Bugle? No actually. I'm getting a ride. Aunt May? During the conversation between Peter and Gwen, Mary Jane and her friend walk by, and she doesn't look very happy. Peter sees Mary Jane walking by, and Gwen tells him, don't do it. What? You heard me. I should at least go over and... No, she broke up with you. If she wants Ed to say anything, she will come to you. And Peter tells her, I hate this. You should. It sucks. And before you know it, we see Eddie Brock in his car honking his horn, and he says, yo Pete. Gwen asks Peter, that's your ride? And he says, I guess so. Oh, you gotta... I'll ask. Eddie Brock, this is Gwen Stacy. Remember I told you about her? She lives with me and Aunt May. Can she get a ride too? And Eddie Brock says, absolutely. Mary Jane sees them getting in the car and looks quite upset. And Gwen asks Eddie, where'd you get the car? It was my dad's. Cool. No kidding. And all I got was a microscope, Peter says. MJ and her friend watch the three of them drive off, and her friend tells her, oh, forget him, MJ. Don't, Liz. Who was the guy with the car? I don't know. Forget him. Mary Jane, he's nothing special. And Mary Jane tells her back, like, yes, he is. Like what? tell me one special thing about Peter Parker. And then they both have that awkward silence. And her friend's like, what? You know what? I don't even want to know what you are going to just say. Alright, I am skipping the table scene because there is so much talking in this issue and I am bloody bored. So, basically, the ending of this conversation between the three of them ends with the potential hint that both of their parents were murdered. After the table scene, Peter goes back home and looks through more of the boxes and plays more of the tapes, and he sees one of them and he says, "The theory isn't a new one. The body carries within itself the ability to create everything it needs to function. Everything it needs to fight off any disease, to stave off any cancer. What the suit will do to just help the body help itself. The ultimate natural medical treatment. As you see in the enclosed specs, we are currently in the middle of phase 2. With the generous support, we believe that we will be able to bring the suit to human testing in phase sometime in the next 2 to 3 years. We believe that the suit is in its final step, this generation's chance. Finally, a cure for cancer, a promising hope for our children's future. And thank you for your consideration." The tape ends, and Peter puts in another one, and we see his father confessing, "Until the lawsuits end, until I know who I can trust, here I am, sitting on my hands. Lawsuits, God. This isn't what I wanted. I would have never gone forward with any of the experiments if I thought for a second that someone would try to use them like this. Never. I would rather work at Taco Bell than be where I am right now. People are dying all over the world. People living with pain. And all I want to do is try to help them. But because I signed the wrong papers for the wrong person, not only can I not do anything to help them, I can't tell someone else what I have to say to finish it. I can't tell anyone. Ben, if you're watching this, you were right. I'll never say it to your face, but you were right. Never trust anyone wearing a tie," as he cries. Peter, furious with the revelation, has a monologue and says, "That is it. That is fucking it. Every time I turn around, there's some greedy piece of garbage looking to turn something of value into a twisted nightmare. Osborn, Nick Fury, Octavius, all of them, garbage. Preying on guys like my dad. Someone who tries to make the world a better place than they found it. And what happens? Every time they took it away from him, well, I'm taking it back. I'll finish what he started. I'll do my own test. I'll do it myself," as he suits up and swings for the laboratory. Spider-Man makes it to the lab and goes in from the top window. He takes out one of the security cameras and finds some keys, and then he goes to the place where the Venom symbiote was. Spider-Man takes the vial of the symbiote out of the cabinet and decides to take a sample for himself. And while he's doing this, we see Gwen Stacy and Brock at a party, and Peter's having a dialogue, and he says, "Just take enough. Just enough to do my own test, to match my dad's note. Take back what belongs to me." As he's doing this, in his frustration, a small part of the symbiote gets on his hand. As the symbiote makes contact with his skin, his spidey senses go off, and he realizes that it feels weird. He says, "Oh God, that feels weird. It's cold, but it's... oh no." As he starts to realize the symbiote is starting to grow around his hand, and he starts to panic even more. The party is going off in one of the panels, and then we see the symbiote start to envelop his entire arm. The symbiote grows even more as Peter tries to get it off but struggles. More and more it starts to grow over his body, his torso, his face, and then we see it completely take over. The Venom symbiote takes over Spider-Man completely, leaving a giant pile of steaming ooze on the ground, until Spider-Man breaks out of it wearing the symbiote suit, saying, "Ah, I can't see, what's going on?" as the suit starts to make eyes for him. And then we see Spider-Man wearing the ultimate Venom symbiote, and he says, "Whoa." And that is the end of Ultimate Spider-Man issue 34. That was Spider-Man Ultimate Venom Saga Part 2. And I've got to say, folks, I have read through this recently just to get my mind through what the story is about again. And man, for me, there is just a lot of talking in this series, into Ultimate Spider-Man in general. That is one thing I definitely do not miss about Ultimate Spider-Man. But I do appreciate it though, because a lot of that talking is character development. So that is definitely one thing I have to appreciate Ultimate Spider-Man over everything else in the Ultimate Universe. Its character development is just on a completely different level. I can't even deny that. But anyway, folks, my apologies for my absence. I had some personal things to deal with in life. And don't worry though, I am back. The next video is going to be Dark Ultimates Part 4, I believe, or 3. Either one. And then I've got another video before Ultimate Invasion drops. I'm talking about what I want to see in there. Do a little bit of speculation on who we possibly could see in the story, that type of video. So that video is actually going to be a lot of fun, so stay tuned for that as well. And obviously we got Ultimate Invasion dropping on the 21st of this month. I'm going to try and get that video breakdown out as fast as possible, but let's just see how everything goes. And we should have the Marvel solicitations for September real soon, and that should be the last issue for Ultimate Invasion. I want to see what those covers are going to look like, so stay tuned for that as well. So if you guys are fans of the channel or fans of the Ultimate Universe in general, this is the channel you want to be on. I'm going to be uploading content surrounding the Ultimate Universe as a lead up to the upcoming event, Ultimate Invasion, which I will be covering as well. So make sure you subscribe and like if you're enjoying the videos, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.